Welcome back to the channel. It's incredibly hot. I'm halfway through making a platinum bracelet, which most probably will be a video for you to watch in the future. But today's video, we do manufacturing as well as repair work here. We are sizing a ring today without sizing it. Stay till the end, I'll explain exactly what I mean. My name is Jaco, behind the camera Damia. If you've been here before, you know who we are. If you haven't, welcome. Let's get into it. A lot of people are told that once you've made an eternity ring, that's it. Like, you cannot size it. Of course you can size it. If it needs to go down quite far, you can always just remove a diamond and bring them back together. It's platinum, it becomes a little bit more technical because you have to watch out not to burn the stones, and it's a little bit more complicated than a normal sizing. Sizing something that has stones all the way around and you're making it smaller, your claws will open up ever so slightly as well, and a lot of the little stones might become loose. None of that applies to this particular method. When you have something that is heat sensitive, especially with older jewelry, it's a very gentle way to size a ring down. And I'm sure a lot of you have done it, but if there are some of you that have questions about it, or you've never done this, it's adding another ring inside of a ring. First thing is, we know what the new finger size is going to be because the customers tried on a finger size. They like the J1/2. Then we have a ring that's an L1/2, which is clearly too big. We have to consider the diameter of the new ring. That's a definite right there. And we have a definite of the other size over here. Now if you bring those two parts together, there'll be a gap between those two parts. The filling of that gap, the difference of that gap, you work that out by taking that original ring's inside diameter and the inside diameter of the new ring.
The new finger size.
Of the new ring, minus the one from the other. I'm actually just looking for the thickness of the new ring. Now you can judge this, I'm sure, but you might have to keep filing until it fits. How much space is the difference between these two parts? You divide it by 2. That gives you the thickness of the wall. And you add that to the actual ring size you're busy working with. Times that by pi and make your ring. It's important to mention that this is not for sizing a ring a whole bunch down. Usually the ring's got a bit of a rounding on the inside. The ring is now flat, it's moving into this one, and it's got a little wall sticking out. I'll make it slightly wider than the ring itself. You can barrel that onto the actual ring on the one side and barrel it onto the other side. So hugging the soft fit on the inside of the ring like this. In this case, the ring was quite delicate. I used the barrel method, but I also, in this case, sweated some solder so that I can achieve security with this, because you can't barrel it with a teeny tiny little ring and be 100% sure that it's going to stick in there, because we just don't have the surface area to give me that guarantee. Once I'm done with this, my ring is completely joined to the previous one. I can also just burnish it round to flare it out a little bit. I actually find it looks quite neat. It's gentle on the jewelry as well. In this case, we added a little bit of solder, but it's completely unnoticeable. You can't see that the ring has been soldered. It still looks like you've just added in a sleeve on the inside, except we know that there's a little extra security in there. With rhodium plating, make sure that you use this product so that you can preserve it. It creates a little coating over it. Kind of shields it, and it also works as a bit of a flux. White gold typically is a plated metal, and plated metal darkens up, which is also not a problem because you can get out there and you can recover it and all the rest of it and get in there. But you can't do that underneath the diamonds. They're sort of sheltering this plating underneath them. And once you've heated it up and that plating has gone black, you can't take every single diamond out and get in their little cleaning area. I'm moving it on the side to sort of heat up the ring as a whole, and then I'll concentrate it on the area where I know the solder lies and then bring it up again. So I'm first heating the metal up, and then I'm concentrating on one particular area, and then I'm moving it up again to respread whatever's just melted. No, it's not filling up the whole thing, I just need the contact. For me, that works well, and the way that we do it, it actually is quite neat. It leaves a little line, sure, it's a little thing extra, but we explain this to the customer. And remember, we're doing it that we can also reverse it. I can take this out with very little effort. It's something that's been discussed with the customer, and most of all, it works. It works without disturbing the ring. It works without changing the diameter of the ring or losing any diamonds out of it. I really hope that this kind of technique is something that you can employ in your own work as well, and even in manufacturing. And keep in mind, it's not just eternity rings, but it works exceptionally well for eternity rings. Consider this method. It was great to see you guys again, and we'll see you next time.
It's been very hot.
People in Africa are sitting there going, oh, it's like winter time for us.
We're acclimatized, and this is not okay.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's only been like 31 degrees, so my dad would consider that sort of like a autumn day. But at the same time, it's been a hot day, it's been a long day, and it's time for me to go home. Until next time, thank you very much for joining us. See you in the next video. Cheers.